Hey, you. Hey. Oh, you. Hey. Who are you? What? Who? You don't know? You don't even know who you are? Really? Huh. Hi, I'm Cam, marketing copywriter turned novel writer. And today we're talking about building your author brand. So, today we're going to talk about who you are, who you want to be, who I want to be. We're talking about branding, storytelling, about building trust, and managing your audience expectations. I am a debut novelist and I'm self-publishing my first novel this year. And I'm documenting the whole process on this YouTube channel. So one of the first things that I had to do was to start building my brand as an author. I know a lot of you are not really into marketing stuff, but this is essential if you want to sell your book at some point. The book is the product, the author is the brand. It's a simplification, but seeing things that way will definitely help you. And before you tell me, but I don't need a brand, I am the author is me, that's it. I will ask you to think about different you in different contexts. You're not all of you all the time. For example, when you're applying for a job, you're showing a specific part of yourself. You are the candidate and you're building a brand as a candidate. That's what we call personal branding. So you would have your specific storytelling as a candidate to convince a specific audience, the recruiter or the manager, that they should trust you. And it's the same thing on dating apps. If you have a profile on a dating app, you will also want to build trust, recognition, and start a conversation with an audience that you haven't met yet. And for that, you will do branding. There is no other words for that. So let's do it for you as an author, and I will tell you what I did for me as an author. So today we're talking about who we are, who I am, and author branding. What you're going to build as your author's brand is not and should not be based on your personal tastes. Of course, you have to like it, and of course, it has to be you because you still want to be authentic and you are the author. However, what matters the most is what your potential audience is expecting. Okay, let me rephrase it so it makes much more sense. You would not expect the same author, the same look and the same vibe from a YA romance reader and the author of horrific psychological thrillers with lots of murders and blood. Of course, it will not be the same. So keep that in mind. Put yourself in the shoes of your ideal reader and think, what would they expect? What would they want me to look like? How would they picture me? How would they picture the author of that book? And that's that picture that you want to match as much as possible. The difficulty here is to manage to stand out while at the same time meeting your audience expectations and the market's expectations. It's a balance act. So you need to have some elements of your personal brand that will be recognizable, that would basically say what you're doing, who you are and what you're doing. But in the meantime, you still need to have your own unique personal touch. This is what's going to create trust. And this is what's going to make you distinctive and unique at the same time. Let's start with a name. You can use your real name or use a pen name. It's entirely your choice. But what matters is that your author's name kind of matches the brand and, again, the audience's expectation. For example, I am using a pen name because my first name is not Cam, it's Camille. It's extremely French. So I think it's easier to go by Cam. Someone asked me one day, why don't you go by Camilla since you're writing in English and you're based in the UK? let's be honest. As soon as I open my mouth and as soon as you can hear my accent, you know I'm not a Camilla. This would be way too fake. So Cam is great. My friends call me Cam. My mum calls me Cam. So I am Cam. I would definitely answer to that name. My real last name is from Polish origins. I love it. I really love, this is my name, but it's way too complicated as an author name. It has way too many consonants, way too many Zs. As an author, I wanted something that was easier to spell, easier to say, and so I picked Lamblin because it's my mother's maiden name. As an author, you have the choice. You can pick whatever you want. So yeah, if you think that your last name or your real name is a bit too complicated or a bit too plain or a bit too foreign for the market you're aiming for, or if you don't like it, some people just don't like their names, or if you really love another name, you can use it. It's your choice. It's your name as an author. So yeah, go for whatever you fancy, as long, again, as it meets the market's expectations. I also think that it's very important to be able to summarize in just one sentence what makes you unique and what differentiates you from the other authors. So if you simply say, yeah, I'm Cam, I write speculative commercial fiction, it doesn't say much, neither about me nor about my book. I met the other day a writer that was not just writing romance, she was writing faith-based Regency romance. And that's much more specific. I mean, even without reading it, and I don't think I would read it because it might not be my type, but I knew exactly what she meant. And I thought that this tagline was brilliant. So in my case, especially because I'm still working on the last edits of my book, I'd rather talk about myself, but also hinting what you will find in my book. So as you heard before, I am a burned out marketing copywriter turned novel writer. So as you can guess, my book will talk about burnout, anxiety, stress, but also the workplace. Now let's talk visual identity. I definitely recommend that you check some videos, articles, online courses about marketing, branding, and how to create a visual identity. Even if those courses are aimed at people, entrepreneurs building a brand, a product, things that have nothing to do with books, it is still relevant because there are some universal principles about branding and visual identity. As an author, you have to make sure that the whole universe that you're creating around you, that your visual, all of the elements of your visual identity are consistent. So again, I'm talking about me as an author, but I'm also hinting at what you will find in my book. My novel is somewhat uplifting, despite talking about mental health, the workplace, stress, and even death. It is still an optimistic, uplifting story, and therefore I wanted to convey that in my visual identity using bright colors. Here we go. Let me show you what it looks like. So this is the first version of my website. I am currently working with a cover artist. I will add the cover as soon as it's ready. But you can already have a feel of what my brand identity is, at least my visual identity. And I don't know if you've noticed, but it definitely matches the visual identity of the YouTube channel because, and I will repeat it again and again, it is really essential to be consistent across your channels, across your platforms. You always want to be consistent with your author brand and your visual identity. As I mentioned, it is important that your author brand, your message, your visual identity, the topics you're focusing on, it's important that they're aligned with what your readers will find in your books. However, I would recommend against pushing it too far. You don't have to dress up as your characters, for instance, especially if you're writing fantasy or sci-fi. You don't have to experience things yourself or become an expert if you're writing twisted dark romance. I mean, you do whatever you want, but you don't have to. It's important to keep a bit of distance between the author and the characters. Use your own judgment for that. I can already hear some of you asking, but what if I don't know? What if I have no clue what I want my author brand to be or my visual identity? I don't work in marketing. I don't know what that means. Well, I have a tip for you, apart from watching videos and courses aimed at marketing enthusiasts. Look at what other authors are doing. Check the website, social media, YouTube channel, any type of content you can find from your favorite authors or authors you like in your genre, and see what works and what doesn't work, what inspires you and what is probably not your cup of tea. This whole thing doesn't come naturally. It is not that easy to be consistent in your content, in your voice, in your visual identity when you're not used to it. Let me phrase it differently. Your author brand is a part of yourself. This is one persona within your person, and you want to stay true to that character. You know about character building, you know about consistency as a writer. Apply the same principles to yourself as an author. You want to have a consistent tone of voice. You want to have some specific topics that you're going to focus on rather than talk about everything and anything. You want to make sure that you're staying true to that part of yourself that you're showing as your author self. And you want to make sure that at the end of the day, you are meeting your audience expectations. If you have someone who shows up one day blue, one day yellow, one day pink, one day black, one day gray, you don't know what color they are. I mean, I'm totally simplifying, but this is the idea. If you always show up with the same identity, with the same message, with the same color and other visual elements, people will recognize you again and again. When they will see your thumbnails on YouTube or when they will see your reels when they're scrolling through social media, they will know that it's you. And this is why it is so important to build your author brand from the very beginning, from the moment you start talking about your book, and not after it's published or self-published. This is why I've already started. I'm going to be honest with you. I am not only caring about people recognizing me, recognizing my name, my message, my tagline, burnt out marketing copywriter turned novel writer, or the visual identity that I'm setting up. I'm also interested in having machines recognizing me. And recently, after having built a website, a YouTube channel, after having been posting on TikTok and on Instagram, I have managed to get a very good SEO. If you type my name, Cam Lamblin, in Google, the first answers, the first 4 or 5 results are about me. They are my real website, YouTube channel, and social media account. It's not someone else, it's me. And honestly, that's a good victory. The other thing that it's quite interesting, quite funny, and that's going to be necessary if I want to sell my book in the future is not just SEO, but what is called GEO, generative engine optimization. It's basically making sure that the AIs such as ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and the other ones, I might be forgetting a few, know who I am as an author, so they can tell if someone asks. I know a lot of you hate AI. I'm not a big fan either, really, for what it does to the environment and also what it does to our creativity. But we live in a world where we can't do without those generative search engine. And when you start building your brand, please do it. And every now and then, not 10 times a day, and also know that it's going to take days or weeks for it to build up. But ideally, you would want to make sure that if someone asks Gemini or ChatGPT, who is, insert your author name, the engine knows. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video and you found it inspiring. Please like and subscribe. Feel free to share it with your friends. If you want to give me any feedback, please write a comment. Also share in the comments if you have your own website or a YouTube channel so we can compare our authors' brands. Again, thank you for watching. I have so many more videos coming. I am planning, as I said before, to post one video every Monday where I am documenting my whole self-publishing journey. Again, thank you for your support and see you soon for another video. Bye!